Steven Leckie, Associate Director of House. Welcome to the Rebel Agent podcast.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
It's great to get you on. I know you're a busy man, so I appreciate your time. Firstly, happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we just found out.
No one's asking me how old I am, which is very polite of them. Thank you. Yeah,
you can say.
No, I don't. I think we don't need to know.
You got plans later?
No, quiet evening. Plans for the weekend.
Good.
We'll celebrate at the weekend.
Yeah. Cool.
Definitely.
For people that don't know you, and I know there's not many, but perhaps you could just give a bit about your background and then we can get into it.
Okay, so for those that don't know me, I'm obviously from the UK. Most of my life was in London and came over to Dubai in 2003.
Similar time to me.
Yeah, before Google Maps and probably it wasn't before WhatsApp for sure, and Instagram, etc. And I came over actually because I was in the car business, and I sold a car to a guy who was from Dubai. I sold him a car in London, and for the next 2 years after he was so pleased with the service I gave him that he kept asking me to come and work for him in Dubai, which I'll be frank with you, I don't even know if I Googled it. Was Google around then? I'm not sure.
I think it was.
I think I certainly had to probably ask Jeeves. I probably had to ask Jeeves if anybody knows what that is, where Dubai was, what the currency was, etc. Because I had to negotiate my salary and that kind of thing. So I came over. He brought me over for a weekend, put me in the Emirates Towers, in a room in the Emirates Towers, and that room was probably bigger than my London apartment.
Really?
And I thought, this is the life. And then he offered me a load of money. He offered me money which was tax-free, which was very pleasant. And so over I came about a few months later.
So you checked it out for a week?
Oh, weekend. I was there for 2 days,
right.
2 or 3. I think probably 3 nights he put me in the Emirates Towers. Which was very pleasant. And we had good fun. I went to a club where there were belly dancers.
Really?
Which I've never seen since. But that particular weekend...
Why not? Have you not
I don't know. Have you ever been anywhere where there's belly dancers?
I remember seeing some interesting sights in Emirates Towers. Yeah.
Scarlets.
There was Scarlets downstairs.
Yes.
Tuesday night Scarlets.
Yes.
Ladies' night. That was good.
Yes.
But there's an interesting bar higher up as well.
There was, but we weren't allowed to go there. I don't know if single men, definitely not. No, not a good idea to go to that bar. That was, I think it was the 42nd floor, wasn't it? No, that was another place maybe.
That's Grosvenor House.
How do we know these places? Yeah, but Scarlet's very good. I liked that place.
I'll tell you what, they were good times, weren't they?
They were. But I think these times are even better. To be frank.
Probably. We're a bit older, and
one thing led to another, and the car business didn't work out for one reason or another, and which is quite often the case with people just coming here for the first time in their jobs. And I was about to go back to the UK, and I was interviewing for BMW in the UK, and I think it's July the 7th. In 2005, and if you know what happened on July the 7th, 2005, it was a bit of a hairy moment, really. I got off the tube at Edgware Road.
You were there?
I was there.
God.
And like 15 minutes later, the bombs went off. So I thought, this isn't really for me. I like Dubai too much. So I came back to Dubai, and I'd already met a couple of ladies who were running a real estate business called Dubai Luxury Homes, Helen and Pauline. And I thought, why not? I've always been interested in property. Trouble in England is if you want to get into real estate, the money's not that great. It's good if you're at the very top end. But you don't make a lot of commission, and you get a fairly low salary. But also you work very hard. You have to work sort of 6 or 7 days a week, and it's a lot of viewings and that type of thing. And I'm not really into some of that. I came from the car business where I basically sat behind a desk and people came to me to buy cars off me. Yes, you had to go out on test drives. And certainly the cars I was selling, which was Bentley and Rolls-Royce, had to go to these big houses out in the country and stuff.
Yeah, tough gig.
There was nothing wrong with that. And that didn't really appeal to me, traditional real estate business. But then as I was taken in by Pauline and Helen at Dubai Luxury Homes, we started selling off-plan because everything was off-plan then.
Yes.
I don't think there was anything finished from memory.
Well, the greens would have been finished then, and the original Email 6
Were you
Towers.
one of the original investors in the greens? Because I know your friend, Fred, he bought quite a few. You bought as well?
Oh, he bought in the greens. I mean, that's what launched, because he bought several, Yeah. But I bought at the Marina.
Oh, okay.
Magenta, the original 6 Towers, now called Email 6. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah,
the greens, what a great offer that was at the beginning. Yeah. Was it 2 years or 3 years rent?
I think it was 3 years. I say I didn't invest, but Fred did.
You rented there for 3 years. They agreed the price day one. You bought it at that price 3 years later, less the rent you paid.
Yeah.
It was an astonishing deal, that was.
It was an astonishing deal, but who was going to want to buy property in the desert,
Well, it wasn't quite the desert. Come on, it was on Shakespeare Road.
Yeah, but still a lot of people hadn't heard of Dubai, had they, in those days? So you think of the price of, I remember first being offered studio apartments in JBR, right on the beach, 25 grand sterling. So I think 150,
over 1,000 square feet.
Yeah. Huge.
Crazy.
And my brother was looking at that, I remember, and the sales girl said to him, she worked for Landmark Properties. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember them.
She worked there.
Are they not around anymore?
They've been swallowed up by somebody.
Yeah.
Because they were number 2 after Better Homes. They were big. Yes. And she said to him, don't buy it, they're too cheap. There's something wrong with it. So... very different times, but it's like anything, isn't it? If you get in early, you're taking a risk, but they've got to sell it cheap at the beginning because otherwise it's not going to work. So you worked for luxury home, you were selling off plan.
So basically, I worked for Dubai Luxury Homes selling off plan from 2005 up until I think around 2008, 2009 when the global crash happened in 2008, and then I think I stayed with them all. Some of them we split. Dubai Luxury Homes, Pauline went one way and Helen went the other. I stayed with Dubai Luxury Homes for a couple of years. I can't remember exactly the dates. And then actually I thought, I'm going to go back to the UK now. And I think I better go back in the car business because that's what I knew I could do in the UK. And so I got a job at Porsche here in Dubai and ended up... being at the biggest Porsche dealer in the world was in Dubai at that time, believe it or not. There was 1 month where we delivered 211 cars. I think they've broken that record now. But there are dealerships. I used to work for Porsche in the UK before Bentley and Rolls-Royce, and there were dealerships in the UK that didn't even get 200 cars in a year.
It's impressive.
So 211 delivered in one month, not by me, by all of us together as a team. But was the busiest. So then I went back to the UK and went back to selling Bentleys. And I chose to do it in Cheltenham.
No way.
Because I thought I wanted a quiet life.
Because I'm from just up the road from Cheltenham. I've worked in Cheltenham for...
Right. Well, I worked for the Bentley dealer in Cheltenham.
Right. On the Tewkesbury Road.
Yeah. Next door to the health food shop.
Whole Foods.
Whole Foods, that's it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I lasted about 6 months. And came back to Dubai. Yeah. And got back into property. And haven't looked back since. I had to get it out of my system. I thought I wanted to go back to the UK. I thought that's what I needed to do, but I got it out of my system, and now I have no intention ever of going back to the UK. And and I'm now what I consider to be the best real estate agency in Dubai. By far.
Definitely. And we'll get on to House and House in a moment. But I was talking to your colleague on this podcast, Paul Sharland, recently. Yeah. And we were talking about people going back to the UK and just not lasting.
He did it.
Yeah, he left Dubai 2 or 3 times, didn't he?
Yeah.
But it's like a drug. Once you're on it, it's difficult to get off it.
Yeah.
And
Despite what people might think, he's not my friend.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I've only known... Paul and I have been working together. We realised yesterday, 19 and a half years together we've been working.
Yeah.
Off and on.
And you work together on the podcast at House and House.
We do a podcast together at House and House.
Which I'll put a link to in the show
What's it called?
Notes.
The Dynamic Duo or something?
Something like that, otherwise known as Dubai Real Estate Unplugged or something.
Yeah, he joined Dubai Luxury Homes a couple of months after I joined.
Right. Yeah.
He's far more successful than I am then.
I don't believe that.
No, he really is. And he's a much better agent than I am. Yeah.
He's got that edge to him, hasn't he?
Yeah. Not really. No, he's a good guy. I learned a lot from him. And I think hopefully he's learned a lot from me, but I don't know about that. Anyway,
I'm sure he has.
Enough about him, because he'd love it that we were talking about him.
Yeah, he won't. I don't think he'll watch this.
No, probably wouldn't. Hasn't got time.
No, too busy. But I do want to discuss your podcast afterwards. But so where are we at now? So you were at Dubai Luxury Homes.
Homes.
And then was it Elite Properties?
Right. So I went to work with actually one of my clients who was a real estate agent in the UK. And he decided he wanted to set up a real estate company here in Dubai, and got me to join him. And after a few years of doing that, and it was okay. The market was okay. We did all right. It was only very, very small. When we say boutique, I mean really boutique. There were like 4 or 5 of us in the company. And then he decided he wanted to leave and go back to the UK and Spain. And he offered to sell me the business. And stupidly, I said yes. And then spent the next 2 or 3 years, or a couple of years after that, trying to run a company, trying to sell property, trying to manage people and paying the rent, etc., in what was a average market. And it was the worst time in my life, really. It was horrible. And anybody who thinks it's a good thing to do is to go and set up your own company. Think hard. Think very hard in the real estate business here in Dubai.
Completely different skill set, isn't it?
I thought, oh, easy. I can pay the rent. I can carry on doing all this sales. But of course, you don't have time for sales when you're trying to sort out people's personal problems and their holidays and their paid checks and
you become a therapist.
You become a therapist, exactly. And not only that, I'm not really. Well, at that time, I certainly didn't really have the patience for people who didn't want to work as hard as I was working.
Yeah,
and it was very difficult to find people who had basically the same work ethic as I did. At that time, sorry, not showing off, but really, it's almost impossible. There are many people in my company now who do have that work ethic, but at the time, it was very difficult.
Well, you've led by example. That's
no, I don't know about that. I don't think anybody follows my example. At least I hope they don't. But anyway, so yeah, and then I'd had enough of that. It was horrible, and I had 7 days a week, 365. I wasn't earning any money. I was getting into more and more debt. And so Simon is someone that I'd known. Simon is one of the...
Simon Baker at House and House.
He's one of the managing directors of House and House, one of the founders. And I gave him a call because I'd given him a call over the years and just said, Simon, what do you think about this? I'm thinking about doing this. And he'd give you 10 reasons to do it or 10 reasons not to do it. And he was very good.
Good judgment.
He's a good mentor. So he said, I need a job. I don't want to do this anymore. Can I come and work for you? Do off plan? He says, yeah, we're really getting into off plan now. Come and do it. So we had a team, I think 3 or 4 people. And they were finding House and House, to be fair to them, it was a growing company. They were still finding their way. They were trying to understand the market. They were understand what their aims and the goals were in terms of bringing the business forward. And I think they're the first to admit, they didn't have a lot of money. Things were tight. They had to be very careful of the purse strings, etc. And it was at a time when many of the off-plan developers were paying a commission at different levels. So depending on how much business you did with them, you got a higher percentage. The real estate company got a higher percentage. And it was quite obvious to me that House and House, who were only 3 or 4 of us, we were never going to reach that higher percentage. And I was probably better off working somewhere else because I needed to earn money because I'd had my own company for a few years and got myself into, I wouldn't say financial trouble, but certainly I had no money. In fact, I had less than no money. Right. And so I needed to make some money. And I took the decision to go after the money. And I joined a very large, well, at the time they were quite small, a company called Metropolitan.
Right.
Who
and they still exist today?
Oh, gosh, yeah. They're like 900 people. They're massive. They've offices all over the world now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. How many in Dubai?
800 or 900, I think. Yeah, people.
Really?
Yeah. Metropolitan. Okay. They're a Russian-run real estate company. And fantastic people, really hard workers. I learned a lot about Russians. That everybody thinks they're a bit austere and unhappy people, but honestly, they have very similar sense of humour to the Brits and Northern European. They're really,
I've always
really
liked Russians. I mean,
they're lovely people.
Back home in the UK, we like to give them bad press. I don't know why, but
no. Honestly, they were very fair with me.
Yeah,
they were very generous, very lovely people, and I started to make some money. And then, of course, COVID came, so nobody was making very much money then. And then Paul came back into the picture. Because he came back into Dubai, decided he wanted to come back, and he also knew Simon. So he went to Simon, he got a job at House & House, and then for the next 3 or 6 months, he was phoning me up, asking me my advice about this property, that property. Do I have a brochure for this? Do I have the floor plans? Because he knows I have everything. And he said, well, you do realise that when you come back to House & House, everything is going to be available, and etc. And he just talked to me as if it was inevitable. And I think one day I thought, you know what? I went to see Luke. Luke Remington is one of the other founders. Came and talked to him and to Simon. And I talked to Luke first because I think Simon, I wasn't sure whether Simon was a bit upset with me for leaving the first time. But they weren't, and they welcomed me here.
Yeah, Simon doesn't strike me as that type of guy.
No, not at all. Not at all. And anyway, we always got on. It was just, I did let them down by leaving after only about 7 or 8 months. And never look back. I mean, I feel like I work at home, really. Well, every time I go
you consider the office to be home.
It is home. Yeah.
It's a great setup there. Yeah. A lovely coffee shop.
It's just got an amazing culture.
Yeah.
The whole thing, very collaborative. We're competing with, it's a very competitive market, but as agents, most of us have a mentality of sharing and sharing information, sharing properties, sharing even clients. It just, let's get the client the best that they can do, and if that involves sharing commissions or sharing income or properties, etc., we're going to do that because we have to.
Well, you're of a size where you can. I think you've got about. How many? 600?
No. There's, I think yesterday, I got it yesterday, it's around 478 people in the company now.
Yeah.
Across all the different businesses. There's a lot of different businesses that they're involved in now, but yeah.
And it's growing exponentially now, isn't it? Because you say money was tight, but if you can get through one period, that, and then it gets ahead of steam, and obviously the market's great at the moment, it just builds and builds.
I think, and they're not to being silly with the commissions. We get a fair share. We don't get a big share like other companies are doing. And I think if the market does dip or get a little bit harder, I think they will definitely survive. I think some of these big companies are giving away lots of money. When they find that the market isn't working, they've got 600 or 700 people who need desks and phones and commissions, that they can have a bit of a problem. But I think we're pretty much bulletproof. We can survive for sure.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm saying this, but I don't actually think the market is going to dip anytime soon.
But you and I, we're confident that it's going to do well over the next few years. Eventually, it will happen, and eventually, a few people are going to be weeded out, aren't they?
Exactly. Yeah.
We'll get onto the market in a few moments. So, have you got a team at House & House? Because you specialise off plan, don't you?
I specialise in off plan, and I wouldn't say I manage, but I work with 12 other people now, and in the team, Steven. And and we all just sort of swap ideas, etc. I am the manager because I've got the grey hair. I'm the older guy, but I don't think any of them would say that I'm a particularly good manager. I think I just help them out when they need it, really.
Yeah, you're there somewhere.
Yeah.
You've got the experience,
Yes.
and you provide the advice.
Yeah. I make a little cut of everything they make as well.
It's called an uplift, isn't it?
I don't know what it's called. Yeah,
we'll
it's nice.
Yeah. I won't ask you what that is.
Helps for a few bills, but that's about it, yes.
Yeah, so you're a busy man, aren't you? Because you're doing your own deals.
Yes.
You have got this managerial position. You're doing a lot of social media. You've got your own website. I know you've got people to help with that, haven't you? But and does that work well for you? The website?
It's starting to.
How long have you had the website?
So I've had the website for years. Probably about
just a little fraction dated, maybe that.
About 6 years. Yeah, don't worry. Watch this space. In fact, I'm supposed to have a meeting tomorrow with another web designer with redesigning the whole thing. Don't worry. By Christmas, everything will be ready to rumble for 2025, which I think is going to be a phenomenal year for real estate. And it could be my swan song, who knows? But it's definitely going to be a good year, and I'm getting ready for that. So, I've got a lot of people on the payroll, sort of doing my social media, doing my website.
Is that partly house and partly your own?
It's mainly all me doing it. Yeah. Anybody in real estate who yes, you go and work for someone else, but if you don't consider your business as your own business,
absolutely,
you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Because if you just waiting and sitting for things to happen for you, yes, in a good market it might happen, but when things go downhill or you're no longer the favourite son, you're not going to be looked after. So, however wonderful person you are, so I think I am preparing myself to, what would I say? I run my own business within a business, and I love going to work every day, and I use House and House. We've got an amazing administration department. We've got amazing offices for meetings. We've got a great brand. We've got
podcast studio.
We've got a great podcast studio. We've got property management, short-term holidays, we've got maintenance company, we've got leasing guys, we've got one of the largest leasing companies. I mean, if you're selling property off plan, that's great. You're a developer. Right, thank you, sign, goodbye. You never have to talk to that guy again. And there are agents in the market that are doing off plan who do not think long term. I think I was speaking to Simon actually yesterday. I think what the differentiator, I think, with House and House is everybody thinks a much longer term. It's not about short-term gain. It's about long-term. It's about relationships. It's about all those long-term and looking after the client all the way through.
If you look after the client, the money will come.
Exactly. That's how it was all set up at the beginning. It's exactly how it was done. It's not all about the money. The money will come, as you say. I've lost my train of thought.
So the whole setup at House and House. And then the off plan.
Yeah, so I'm managing a team. I work in a company. I work for House and House, but at the same time, they leave me to do what I want to do in the way that I want to do it. Obviously, I follow all the company values and the guidelines, etc., and all the legalities. But I have a huge support network there, a massive. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And so it's a bit like running my own company. I'm making more money than I was when I was making my own company because all that money went on rent and shared commissions and all that, and all the staff, etc. I don't have to worry about any of that. So now all the money I make is for me. And I don't have any of the headaches. And despite the fact that I've got grey hair, it's not getting any greyer. And it's all good. It's all good. And,
I'm delighted for you because it's a great setup.
It's brilliant.
Clearly working. And and you're helping others make it work, aren't you, in that team of 12 or 13?
I don't know about that, but I'd like to think I am. People like me. I think most of them like me, and they come and ask me lots of questions. And sometimes I'm a bit short with them because I'm a bit busy, and other times I'll give them the time of the day. But
that's lovely helping people, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
passing
great.
on your knowledge and
look, when you're doing quite well, also you kind of relax and you do have that sort of time. It's. I was talking to someone this morning actually, and they were saying, "Oh, how's things going?" He said, "Well, actually, I've been away. I've been travelling. I went to Europe because I haven't sold a property for the last 2 or 3 weeks. I'm getting a bit nervous." And they said, "Oh, you don't have to worry." And I said, "Well, actually, I haven't got a salary. I do have to worry. When you don't know where the next deal is coming from, it's a little bit scary. But that's what keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, no,
That's what makes it fun, I guess."
That's great. Let's get on to the market and areas of Dubai that you like, obviously with the off-plan. I know it depends on people's budget and it depends on a lot of factors, but can you talk in broad terms as to areas that you like at the moment?
You're right. It's all about people's expectations and strategy and their budget and their timing. But it's probably easier, and I'm not going to do it here. There's probably easier for me to tell you what I don't like and what I don't think people should be buying.
You're just very bullish generally.
Which developer you should? No, I'm not. It just depends. If you come to me and say, "Look, I've got 1 million dirhams," then I'm going to be talking about 1 or 2 areas. If you've got 10 million, I'm going to be talking about a lot more areas, etc. It just depends on what you're coming to live here, you're coming to retire here. Is it purely for rental yield? Are you wanting to flip? Do you want to buy and sell, etc.? Now, if you're asking what areas I think are very exciting at the moment, probably number one on my list, just because of all the announcements that have happened recently, is the Expo City. I think it's just a no-brainer for anybody and if you don't get it, and if you're a real estate agent, you think it's too far and you're not going to get in your car and go and have a look. I don't want you to go and do it. Don't get in your car. Don't go and have a look. Believe me, you are missing an opportunity that will, that's a project that will be providing you with an income for the next 5 to 10 years, probably. And if you do rentals and resales for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It's a great location. I would love to live there. I might even end up living there. I just think that's the business.
When's first handover of the
I think
villas,
in about 18
townhouses?
months. I think you'll see something in around 18 months' time. You'll see some apartments and some townhouses and the villas. So I really like that area.
So that's close to the new airport, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's not far from Palm Jebel Ali. It's going to be,
Yeah. And it's the exhibition centre and the mall and everything. So I like that a lot.
Makes a lot of sense. Do you like Dubai South in general?
Look,
close to Expo.
I like and do. I haven't seen anything that is a glaringly good investment at the moment in Dubai South, apart from Emar's projects, which are around there, Emar South, the Oasis, the Heights, etc. But that's not really in Dubai. Well, Emar South is in Dubai South, but nothing else there. I haven't seen anything yet that I would get excited about. It is offering investors a value proposition. So you can buy there. You'll always find a tenant. You're not going to make huge amounts of money on capital growth, I don't think. I think you will get a reasonably good yield. And I think it's more of a rental opportunity. It's not really an end user.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that many of the properties that you see there, apart from maybe some of the townhouses that they've built, where you would find end users buying there. It's more of an investor. It's a bit like Al Fashan. I like it. Not Al Fashan villas and townhouses. I'm talking about the apartments and Discovery Gardens in International City. It's that kind of place. I think it's definitely an area that is very much required in this market to get some lower value, lower prices, to encourage people to come and live here and work here. But I don't see it as a big money spinner for people. I think there's a lot of hype around it because there's a new airport.
Yeah.
Now, we're from the UK. Would you, by choice, buy a property next door to Heathrow Airport or Gatwick? Well, probably not.
I'm told the runway's done in a certain way that it's not going to disturb people. But
I know, exactly. But and obviously, and look, they're talking about 1 million people going to work in the area, live and work in the area. Amazing. It's a new city. It's incredible. Yeah, and I think, and I just haven't seen anything property-wise in quality so far. Sorry, being a bit frank. Sorry about this, Dubai South. But
yeah.
Look, I'm a big fan of all areas of Dubai. What else do I like?
So Expo you like?
Expo I like very much. I like Dubai Creek Harbour. I love Rashid Yachts and Marina. I could definitely see myself living there. I think that's a great buy. It's underrated at the moment. I don't think people quite get it. But I remember when Dubai Hills was launched in 2006, 2007, no one got it. Yeah, why would I live next door to an industrial area?
Yeah,
which is Al Quoz, across the road from Al Quoz.
Yeah.
No way. And it's in the desert. No, thank you. And now look at it. And I think Rashid Yachts and Marina is just like that.
So were you selling Dubai Hills at the time?
I was trying to.
Yeah.
I tried to. I think a lot of people didn't quite get it. I sold some townhouses and villas up there.
But they're happy with you, those investors.
I don't know about happy with me. I don't know if they... See, the thing is, when people have a bad investment, then they blame you.
Yeah.
If they have a good investment, they never come. They never say, thanks, Steven, you've done your job. Yeah, exactly. So, no, you only hear about the bad things, really. But, yeah. And invariably, they actually, people have done well. But I didn't sell much in Dubai Hills, to be fair. I am promoting Rashid Yachts and Marina a lot, Dubai Creek. Anything Business Bay downtown's good. I'm not really a massive fan of the Palm. And I'm not a massive fan of places like, I don't know if I should say this, things like Emaar Beachfront. It was good at the time, at the beginning.
It's a bit artificial, I think.
Yeah, it's there's a couple of projects coming up in the marina which I really like. There's one in particular at the moment. I don't know if Paul mentioned this as well, Six Senses.
Oh, yeah. Well, I had Sophie Wells on recently.
Sorry?
I had Sophie Wells on from Select.
Yeah.
And she loved, well, she's selling it, but the passion that she's got for that project.
That project.
Do you know Sophie?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That's a brilliant project.
How many dirhams per square foot?
I mean, you can buy, I think it's less than 3,000 dirhams a square foot.
Yeah, for a Six Senses in the marina.
It just makes so much sense. I mean, I don't think you'll find that anymore. There's probably a couple of units left. By the time this podcast goes out, they'll be gone because I'll be selling them. So, yeah, I really love
I hope
this
podcast helps with that.
Well, we'll see. But look, it doesn't matter. It's a brilliant. You can buy an apartment there. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of money for 8 million dirhams. But you're in a building where other people have paid 35 to 50 million dirhams. You're in the same building using the same facilities. You're mixing with the right people, aren't you? Yeah, I mean, you're buying into an amazing building. And that's one. And there's a couple of others, which I'm not sure I really want to publicise at the moment. I really like what the Rove are doing, both in downtown, Business Bay, and I know they're coming to the marina, Rove Home, from Earth, I like that. What else? Any villa community from Emaar, villa townhouses from Emaar or Meras, yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, please. It's just such a great buy. And we have a huge lack of townhouses and villas.
Absolutely. And I know when you do your podcast, you look at, and I think one of the statistics, and I discussed this with Paul, but it's worth mentioning again, and it's one that you quote, 79% of the delivery of products over the next 3 years is going to be studios and one beds, which is unbelievable, isn't it?
It's madness.
Which leaves this huge gap of three bedroom.
So we reckon in the next within 5 years, 2% of the market will be villas and townhouses.
Really?
Yeah, 2% of supply will be villas. Will be villas.
Yeah. People want.
I mean,
villas.
I don't know about you, but all I'm doing every day is talking to people from overseas who are coming here with their family, with their parents, with their kids. 3 generations are moving here, all in one. Plus, they're bringing their businesses.
Yeah.
They want big houses. They've got the money for big houses.
So why is this the case then?
Because building a villa community is an extremely expensive proposition for any developer. There's an enormous amount of infrastructure. There's an enormous amount of land you have to do. And there's only so much you can charge for this. So I think...
But you would think it would be managed, wouldn't you? So that, okay, developers are there to make a profit, and they would prefer to develop tower blocks. However, you would think at government level, they wouldn't get the planning they would need. They would force developers to develop more of these communities.
I think the government have I mean, certainly from the government entities like DP, Meras, and to a certain extent EMA, they are doing a very good job of providing supply of those types of properties.
Right.
But a smaller developer, he's going to really struggle to do that.
Yeah.
Really struggle. They don't have the money. Basically, it's a long game, and it's also very expensive to do that.
Yeah.
Damac have transitioned from apartments to villa and townhouse communities.
Yeah.
And they've done a reasonably okay job. But I don't know anybody else who's really doing that.
Yeah, so for investors out there, it's a no-brainer with these villas and possibly townhouses as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think both townhouses, villas, and even larger apartments, 3-bedroom apartments and that type of thing. Good.
Yeah.
Good for everyone.
I just feel with townhouses and villas, you're in control. You're not in control of the community, but with any sort of apartment, you are reliant upon that developer, aren't you? Which in most cases is fine, but can be a problem. Stephen, before I let you go, have you got advice for agents, both existing agents and new agents? I know we've talked about having a long-term strategy, but
I think, funny enough, I was asked this yesterday by a brand new agent. We're doing some training at the moment. The first Monday of the month, the new guys join the company, and I go and visit them and say hello and welcome them to the company. And one of the guys asked me, "Have you got any advice? Have you got any? What would you tell your younger self to do after all these years of being? What would you do as a real estate agent?" And I said, I can't answer. There's 3 things. Well, we worked out there were 3 things. I couldn't stop myself. But number 1 is if you just joined, save your money. Any money you make, be very careful with it. Don't go partying. Don't go and buy a flash car. And don't buy lots of lovely shoes and designer handbags. Just save your money and work hard. Because if you do it for the next 2 or 3 years, you'll be flying. It's not an overnight thing, for sure. That's number 1, I think, is just be careful. Maybe invest in property. That would be a very good idea if you're a real estate agent.
If you're in a position to do so.
If you can afford to do it, do that. That's your goal. Yeah, to forget about the fast cars, forget about all that. No one cares. And I talk from experience here. I bought all the cars, the fast cars and everything. So, yes.
Well, you were selling them, weren't you?
Well, I was selling them before. Then I started buying them and I made money, for doing real estate. What else? Be honest. Definitely be honest.
It's the best long-term strategy, isn't it? Integrity.
Just don't pretend you know something and say the answer just because you think that's the right answer. Go and check. So clients will respect you if you just say, "Look, I don't know the answer. Let me go and find out." And then you go and find out and you tell them the answer, because you can't know everything. It's almost impossible. And what was the third thing? The third thing was also, very important, because I was talking to a load of leasing agents. And I said, look, you do realize that everybody you meet now, both tenants and landlords, are potential buyers in the future. Yeah. So be nice to them, give them a good service, and they will look after you in the future. Really, you'll be able to, when you go into sales, and even it works for sales as well, anybody you come across, and even other agents and developers. I've seen many big bosses of developers now are people that I used to deal with when they were in admin. Right. So I was fairly nice to them then. And now I can't even get through the door to see them, but I know they're there, and I should have done a lot better job when I was starting out in nurturing these relationships with both landlords, the tenants, and also the developers' staff, because they do go up. I might have stayed still being a sales guy, etc. And I've gone into a sales manager role now. But yeah, I should have followed those people, but we can always a lot more friendly.
We can always find people that have done better than us, but you've nevertheless done better than 99% of people. I would say. Maybe. Yeah.
But all I'm saying is if you're starting out, just remember that everybody 100%. You meet is a potential client or someone who will potentially help you in the future.
Well, it comes back to this long-term strategy, doesn't it? And if you want to be in the game for a long time, then it's the best way. Well, you've had a fantastic run. I'm sure you've got many years to go.
I hope so.
I hope this podcast helps. And obviously, I'll put all your details in the show notes.
Yeah.
So if there are any investors out there, buyers, then they can come to you.
Yeah. Anybody wants to offer me a good job, I won't take it, but it'd be nice. It
you
always
like
makes
to
me
be
feel
flattered.
better. It always makes me feel better.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Steven.
No, thank you, David. Appreciate it.